Hi, welcome to Courageous Journeys. I'm Peggy Oliveira. Just saying welcome to Courageous Journeys is something I do regularly, but there's really a lot of meaning in that. And that's in part what I want to talk about today. I'm often asked by clients, by friends, and even this week, people that I'm interviewing to join the Courageous Journeys team. Something along the lines of, how do you listen to so much trauma? Or how do you deal with all the heaviness? Doesn't it affect you? Doesn't it bring you down? Those kinds of comments. And it's really from clients, there's often a lot of fear around that because they fear that they could say something that could, in a sense, make me feel bad, or that they'll share something that is so, traumatic that it's going to affect how I feel even after the session, that it's going to traumatize me. And so I wanted to talk about this because it is something that comes up a lot. And as I was talking to a couple of the people that I was interviewing, when they asked that question and how I felt as I responded to them, I just wanted to share that with you. And I hope that it helps. So, is it hard to listen to people's stories of trauma day in and day out? Well, it's not easy. I will certainly acknowledge that. But generally, it's not easy because it's incredibly heartbreaking. There's a deep sense of sadness for the betrayal and the hurt and the fear that people live with day in and day out, for all that pain that is created by, most of the time, somebody that they cared about or trusted. There's a lot that's heartbreaking about that. But it really isn't something that makes me feel bad. And the reason for that, and this is important, and this is one of the reasons why it is kind of important to work with somebody who is a trained professional, because part of that training, part of the education and then the training and the ongoing training to maintain your license is learning how to manage that, learning how to navigate those times when you're hearing all kinds of really difficult or horrific stories. But it doesn't, if the person that you're sharing with has good boundaries and they practice self-care, then the story that you're sharing with them, as horrific, traumatic, heartbreaking as it may be, while I can feel an immense amount of sadness about that, tremendous empathy for that. It's not something that weighs on me throughout the day. And part of that is good boundaries, part of that is self-care. But a really important part of why that is, and this is what I want you to hear. If you've ever worried about sharing too much with your therapist, or the impact that your story might have on your therapist, I want you to hear this because I know that I'm not the only one who feels this way. It's not something that I necessarily hear a lot of people talk about, but I've talked about it enough with a few people that I know that I'm not the only one. And that there are a lot of us out there, particularly people who focus on working with trauma. So in the interview, just in the last couple of days, I had a couple of people ask me that question. And as I responded to them, I just felt this optimism, inspiration, in a sense, and this may sound a little odd, but in a sense, even an aspect of joy. Because, oh my gosh, this is going to make me emotional. And what I said to her, or to them, is that when I am fortunate enough to have somebody share with me their story, and this is true whether it's in an email, and some of you watching this may have done this, and maybe that's all I know about you. And then certainly I've had a lot of clients over the years. But when somebody is willing to share their story, it means that they have hope. It means that they're taking steps to heal. That even if they have no idea how they're going to get there, and they really cannot trust that there is a summit that they're going to reach beyond all of what they can see, when they're able to do that, I'm getting chills just thinking about it again. There is something so profoundly inspiring and beautiful and courageous about that. And so when somebody is sharing their story with me, as horrific as it may be, and I have heard stories that the reality is most people would not really believe is true. When somebody is sharing that with me, and especially when it's the first time that they're sharing it, what an honor it is, truly, to be trusted in that way. And to know how important of a step that is, and what it means for them, and what it means for them in this moment, but what it means for what is possible for them. Because remember, just recently I did the video talking about no longer being in denial, being able to allow yourself to accept the reality of what you experienced and that it's had an impact on you. So when somebody is sharing that with me, they're there. They are ready. They may be terrified. They may want to stop. They may even feel immediately like they want to withdraw and feel filled with shame. But the fact that they're able to share something so profoundly significant that often does have so much shame attached to it, not because they have anything to be ashamed of, but that doesn't change the reality that we still feel so much shame. So when they're sharing with me, or when you're sharing with your therapist, while it may be a hard story to hear, while it may be heartbreaking to think about the person that we even care about having experienced so much pain and betrayal in their life, which is heartbreaking. I can't speak for anybody else, but it's incredible because it's such a profound step. And without that step, you can never get to the healing that you desire and that you deserve. So I want to talk about how you can, as a client, as somebody who may share your story, how do you trust that? Well, if you have a pretty good relationship already with your therapist, hopefully you've had some conversations and you've had some experiences that can help you lean into that trust. But aside from that, your therapist has a responsibility to her or himself to take care of themselves. They have the responsibility, the obligation, and really the training and experience to know what they need to do to take care of themselves. And for some people, that might mean having their own consultation or therapy as they're working through something with a client. It might mean having a couple of extra days off. It can mean a lot of different things depending on that person and everything else that's going on in their life, right? Because stress and vulnerability can be layered on top of one another. And the more stress or vulnerability there is, the more impact everything has on us. But ultimately, your therapist signed up to be in a position to hear hard things. That's what they're trained for, and that's what they're there for. You're not responsible for what you're sharing in terms of your story. You're not responsible for how that may affect them. If it is affecting them, and sometimes it can, particularly if they haven't heard a lot of stories, then they need to get the support and resources that they need to be able to work through that. But it absolutely is possible for that to happen. But I want to come back to this. It is not your responsibility at all. So there are a couple of important points here that I really want to make sure that I leave you with. And the first one is what I just was saying, that whether you're sharing something really traumatic, whether you're sharing like you've had a really stressful week and you're coming in and just feeling like you're just throwing it all out there and you talk like 100 miles a minute, either way, that's what that space is for you, right? It's one of the things about therapy is that it gives you a space to just be, whatever that means in that moment, for you to show up fully and share the things that are on your mind or on your heart, and very often the things that you don't share with other people or don't share as much of as you might share with other people. That's what they're there for. So if that has been on your mind, if that's been weighing on you at all, please know that you can let that go. But I also really, really want you to take away from this that as hard as it may be, and this kind of goes to the video that I shared last week about how things can sometimes get worse or feel worse even, or especially, I guess, after you start therapy. That when you are sharing something, even if inside there's like sirens going off and saying, what are you doing? Why did you do that? You can't do this anymore. You have to stop. If you have decided to share something that is so significant for your healing, that is huge. And to be the person on the receiving end of that, the person who gets to hear your story, who is trusted with hearing your story and guiding you, to be the person who gets to witness that vulnerability and that courage and that strength. I said this to one of the people that I was interviewing, like, honestly, sure, there are tons of really rewarding careers out there. But truly, I cannot imagine doing anything for work. But even personally, I really cannot imagine anything more incredible. And that doesn't encompass the reality of what an honor it is to be in the position to hold space, to witness, to guide people. And whether I have worked with you or you just watch these videos, maybe you've left a comment, maybe you sent me an email, I am truly so incredibly grateful and honored that you feel safe enough to be able to do that. All of my clients that I have worked with virtually found me right here on YouTube. They connected with something that I shared and they reached out. They sent me an email and asked about working together. People that found my groups found me almost 100%, 99% found me by watching these videos. And to know that these videos over the years, through the various settings and hairstyles, as I continue to get older, that is amazing. And I am so inspired by you and grateful to each of you. So I know this was a little bit of a different kind of video, but I just was really feeling that. And I know that there are so many of you who feel like by sharing parts of your story that you're going to hurt somebody or damage somebody or leave them feeling gross or bad in some way. And again, I can't speak for anybody, but I can feel pretty confident that that is never going to be the case. So please try to let go of that idea and know that when you are sharing something, especially something that you've never shared before, but it's just as meaningful if you have shared it before, that the person who gets to hear that is in a place of honor. It's an incredible experience to know that somebody is trusting you with that. Try to take that in. Try to let yourself trust in that. Let yourself feel that and know that you are deserving of having somebody feel honored to listen to your story, to know you. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If there's somebody that you know that has struggled with therapy, maybe consider sharing it with them. I'd love to hear your thoughts and reactions in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed, please do so and be sure to click the little bell for notifications to make sure that you know that the videos are coming out. And it also helps other people see these videos. Thanks for watching, and I'll look forward to seeing you next time.